Hey, Dari.
Hey Shlomo, what's up?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. What day is it today? Today's a pretty crazy day. Today is Tuesday, the 16th of Cheshvan, and it is your Abba's 26th Yarzeit today.
Yeah.
When was the last time we spoke? It was Sukkot, right? When we did one of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were awesome, by the way, and everyone got so much from hearing you. And I know that so many chevra are everyone's so like yeah, constantly in search for Lora Avlalechem Velot Samalamayim. Everyone's so hungry and thirsty, but not for anything other than just a few good words and some kind of inspiration. And I wanted it. We all wanted to know from you where are you on this day in terms of inspiration.
Um, it's interesting because the English day is really hard for me. I connect to the date comes like viscerally into my body, but on this day it feels just like a celebration of his life. Um, where I feel like his soul is Mamash having Aliyah, and people are thinking about him, and he's just going to I don't know if he can go to a better place at this point. It just maybe just gets higher and higher and deeper, but it feels like we're all celebrating him together in such a beautiful way.
That's so beautiful. What the English date's what, October
October 20th.
20th. That was already. So you've been in like a Chol Hamoed Yarzeit zone, I guess, right between the between the right. So, is there anything that this year, maybe due to the pandemic or whatever it is, or the fact that your father's yahrzeit happens to fall out on the day of U.S. elections, is there anything that this year just stands out different than other years?
You know, it's funny how you think that when you have loss, you think that you're gonna know when you're gonna celebrate it or when it's gonna hurt you, the yahrzeit or the birthdays that. But truth is always in random moments where you pass a tree and it smells like a tree that you once sat together, or you go into a bookstore and you can imagine like the joy. My father loves Sfarim, and just you pass by someone reading a Sfarim, something it just moves you in a way. So this year feels different. 25 years felt like really, really big. And 26 just, you know, 26 is Hashem, and it's like Hashem is running the world. And when you know Hashem is running the world, you can't be sad. You just have to celebrate the moments that you had. So it feels like we're connected in a different way, but in a beautiful way that just makes me feel peaceful.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, well, one of the things that my wife and I, Bina and I, what we noticed last night, we went to the kever last night at about 8:30, thinking like, okay, it's early and probably won't be that many people and whatnot. Of course, the place is like packed, right? And it was packed with kids that definitely were most definitely born after 1994, and they're there, they're running the whole thing, they're running the show, uh, and it just seems like this is just like a story that's totally in the middle of taking place. It doesn't. In other words, there was no book. I know that on a certain level, October 20th, Ted Zayin Cheshvan Tafshin Nun Hey was like the end to a certain physical chapter, but it I don't know. To me, it feels that we're witnessing like an amazing, long story that I don't even know what parak we're up to. But it's like it's fascinating, no?
Yeah, it feels like that. People always ask me, You know, what inspired you by what did your father bring you? What are you inspired by? People always talk about, you know, his songs first, and they talk about his Torahs. For me, it was his stories that live inside me more than anything, because when I was little, all I did was ask him to tell me stories, and he told me, it was like story after story after story. It was like a tapestry of stories. It wasn't even like one story. It was just, you know, I'd say, you know, tell me a long story. Say, okay, here's a short story. Here's another short story. And I wouldn't let him sleep. I just wanted him to tell me stories. And it's just when he would tell me these stories, it was so clear to me that it was real. You know, some people say, you know, how do you know if it's a real story, if it's not a real story? To me, it was like happening inside my head. And, you know, when he'd say, you know, the suns could see from one corner of the world to the other, or, you know, or the Baal Shem Tov just knew that little girl was crying on the side of the road, you know, many miles away. I always just imagined my father, like it was just him. And I feel like he was the Baal Shem Tov for me, except for like he didn't have a coach. He was in a taxi, and he wasn't wearing a strymel. He was wearing his raincoat. But you know, he just could see from one corner of the world. People used to always say to him, you know, why don't you wear glasses like your brother? You know, my uncle Chaim always had glasses. My father never had glasses, and he'd say, I don't want it to ruin my sight. So he had a whole different way of seeing, and he didn't want to bring it down to the mundane, because you could see what you see in front of you is really like the shallowest part of what's out there. So to me, he's like an inspiration for seeing so much deeper. And really is the middle of the story. I think you're right.
Totally middle of the story. So what are we not seeing? Like, what do you think is much, you know, lying much deeper in the surface today in terms of direction of the world? I know it's a pretty broad statement, but you led us here, so it's on you to answer. But like in terms of like bichlal, nationally and humanly speaking, universally, wouldn't you think that by now people understood that there's so much more than meets the eye? Like, why do you think we keep on getting stuck in that same place?
That's a deep question. I think that lots of times we're trained to think that what we see in front of us is the way it's supposed to be, and we're so focused on ourselves, like, what do I have, what do I want, what do I need, what can you give to me? And you're so focused on ourselves that we forget that we're like, we were created in God's image. We are beings of light. We're here to spread deep love and deep light. And it's lots of times we grow up and we're not seen. People don't see us that way, so we forget ourselves. So we're walking around waiting for someone to see us. And then we feel so sad that we don't want to see ourselves that way, and we don't see anyone else like that. But really, when we go into the deeper place, we know that everything is just reflections of heaven, and we're not angels, but we're dancing with the angels. The angels are with us in every moment, and every vision we have can connect us to somewhere so much more. You know, now
do you feel like your father saw himself based on that? I'm sorry to cut you off. Like, based on what you said, it feels like he saw himself. He must have been able to see himself if he could see others, because he so saw others, like, ridiculously.
Right. It's a good question. Like a question, can you see yourself when you're so busy seeing others? It's a gift to be able to have that balance. I think that really at the purest place, when you see the beauty in yourself, you can see it in everywhere else. And if you only see the bad in yourself, you can't see anything else but bad. I know that I had so many experiences with my father. Like, I remember this one time, it was Tisha B'Av, and someone started beating up another kid. And everyone was outraged. It was, everyone thought, oh, my father's going to stop him and yell at him and kick him out. And he just went and gave him the biggest hug. And he said, come sit next to me. And he gave him kavod the whole night. And that for me was always a lesson that, I'm going to cut myself off. My daughter and my son go to a really beautiful school. And it's a democratic school, and they had a teacher named Moore, who I always felt like she was just a sent angel. And one thing that always touched me was that, remember, my daughter was in first grade, and there was a kid that was really doing a lot of bad things that were disruptive or hard for other people to handle. But she created this community where nothing was bad. Everything was a part of the person. So this boy was having a hard time, and most other schools, you'd be like, get them in trouble, kick them out, bring them to the principal. The kids got together and they said, with the teacher, and she said, what can we do to help this boy? He wasn't there. And they said, he must feel sad. Let's make him a party. And the moms made him a party. They made him a cake. They each made a card of what they thought was amazing about him and surprised him. And, if you think about what it feels like when you feel low and then you realize that people loved you all the time, there's nothing greater than that. I find that my father had that gift, and blessed us all with that gift to see the world in a way that, how can I make this person see how beautiful they are inside? There's nothing deeper than that.
I don't mean to toot your horn, but you did share with me. You shared with me something absolutely extraordinary. Mamash a Hasidic tale, a modern day Hasidic tale that's still happening, and I think it's like I'm so happy you're up for sharing this. I hope with everyone, how you're able to see people, but really it was a gift from your Abba that happened in the middle of the night, and I think it's incredible. So, are you up for sharing?
Sure. When I was with my father, and I know so many people felt this way, that time stopped. We live in a world where time and space is so important. We have wars over time and space. Your space, my space, this is my time, Magili, this, I owe this, my time is precious. Everything's about time and space. With my father, it was like, I remember walking, I remember when I moved to Israel for my junior year abroad, and I walked from the Midrochot, like from Kikar Tzion to the Kotel. And I was in shock because I realized it's not a 7-hour walk. You can do that in 20 minutes, half an hour. When we would walk from the Witt's house to the Kotel Friday night, I don't think we got there before. We got there like 11 o'clock at night and started, Kabbalat Shabbat. It was like the time stopped. And so this is what happened. We go to our friend's house in Gibet Olga, our very dear friends, for their daughter's graduation. And we say goodbye, we're going to leave. I put all my kids in the car. And then, when you have kids, you have in your head how it's going to work. We're going to get in the car here. We're going to go to sleep then. And we're going to do, everything's just kind of in your head. Nothing happened the way it was supposed to. It was like my daughter threw up. My other daughter had a tantrum. I had to drive home. I wanted them to sleep. They wouldn't go to sleep. Everything was a big mess. And I just had it in my head. They're going to sleep. We're not going into the house at like 12:30 at night and having a dance party like we would. We're going to sleep. So I said to my big kids, I'm going to do another sivuv just around the neighborhood. And my daughter went inside. My son came with me. We start driving. And I don't even know. There was like a point where I realized I had no idea where I was going. I was going to go around my neighborhood and end up going down the hill towards Yokohama. And I was like, well, what am I doing? And my son says to me, Mommy, where are you going? I say, I don't know. So we were still driving. We get to the summit where I've lived here for 13 years. At the back of my hand. I never get lost. Instead of turning left, I go straight. And my son says, Mommy, what are you doing? And I realize I'm on my way onto the ramp of the highway. I'm either going to Tel Aviv or to Haifa. And I don't understand it. It's like I look around, nothing looks familiar. I don't know where I'm going. And all I know is I need to get off this highway fast. So I do kind of a wild thing, and in the middle of the ramp, I turn and I turn around, and I end up back on the other side of Zichron. And as we're turning towards the Aliyah right by Kvish Arba, suddenly there's a boy standing on the side. My father had a sweet spot for like sweet yeshiva bachers, like the way he just maybe reminded him of his youth or something. But if he saw a sweet yeshiva boy with payas, he just lit up. He just thought it was like, this is what angels actually look like. So there's this yeshiva bacher standing on the side of the road. It's 1 a.m, like long red hair payas, and I'm like, suddenly it dawns on me, okay, I don't know how I got here, but why is he here? And I pull down my window and I say, are you okay? Can I help you? And he says, actually, we're on the way to Meron, and our car broke down. And I say, oh, let me help you. So we go to the gas station, and standing there are 8 or 10 of the sweetest yeshiva bachers you've ever seen. One is shining more than the other. And they say, oh, no, just a little bit. We don't need so much gas. I say, of course you need gas. Let's fill it up. And he says, no. And I'm staying there, and I, start asking questions. Who are you? Where are you from? Oh, we're from Yerushalayim. Are you part of yeshiva? You're part of yeshiva. That's so nice. And suddenly I feel this presence around me. And suddenly I know why I'm here. And I feel like my Abba was with me, and he brought me here. It was like, the Baal Shem Tov gets in the wagon. The Hasidim don't know where they're going. They went the wrong way. They're supposed to go all the way to some other town, some shtibel, and suddenly they're in the middle of the forest. Why are we here? And suddenly it dawned on me, like, I'm here, my father sent me. And so, I'm in a tank top. So I feel like it's not necessarily mechubad to say, this is my father, because I don't want to put my father to shame. I want to give him covenant. I don't know, how they feel about what people are wearing. And so I say, this is kind of a crazy thing to tell you, but my father sent me here. And they said, wow, who's your father? And I said, Harav Shlomo Carlebach. And they just can't stop smiling. And they say, we're from Elias Sukkot's yeshiva. And I say, wait, what? Elias Sukkot, the sweetest man alive. My father met him in the 60s, hippie in the house of love and prayer. And he said, that's it, you're coming with me to Israel. Him and his wife get on a plane. They never go back. And years later, in so many forms, I can't even understand how they got there, how I got there. And suddenly we're together full circle. And I have just chills all over my body. Because sometimes you feel like you don't know if you're connected. You don't know if, is my father really with me? And then I just couldn't stop smiling. And then it was just like the gates open. And it's like the brachas couldn't stop. I just started blessing them nonstop. It wasn't for me. It was just from another place. And then I said, what else can I do for you? And they said, we're a little bit hungry. So we went into the Makolet, tried to give them as much as possible. So cute. They're like, first I guess they felt shy, and then they said, oh, they realized I'm for real. So, getting some ice cream, getting some gum, getting some things they really love. And then I say, what else can I give you? And one of the boys who's a little bit more, confident, he says, I need a trip to Uman. So I say, I'll give you better than a trip to Uman. I'm going to give you a bracha to go to Uman. And they start laughing. We all start laughing. And then I started blessing him. And then they all go out, and the boy stays with me, and he says, you don't understand what just happened. These boys are from very, very broken homes. Their parents either treat them horrible, or they don't have a home. They have nowhere to go. They don't know who to turn to. And you just gave them back their neshama. So I felt that moment that my father had brought me here to be able to give. Like, I remember my favorite story that he ever said was the story of Snuffed-a-Back. It just says, if someone asks you a favor, never say no, because most probably they need it. So I gave them my number, and I said, please call me on your way back so I can fill up your gas again. And then the boy became my buddy. We were in touch. Send me pictures. When they came back, I gave them gas and money for food for their Shabbos table. And it was unbelievable. I felt like such gratitude that I could be a shaliach for my father, a shaliach for the world. Anyways, one day I get a picture. He's on a plane. Where are you? I'm on my way to Uman. Anyways, we've been in touch. Send them food for Shabbos. Try to take care of them. He's like my son. Because I got a call last week that his brother's getting married, and their mom is dirt poor. They have nothing. And I felt like, again, that we're so focused on what we have and what we're going to get. And sometimes I feel like the greatest thing my father taught me was you can open the gates in 2 seconds, and everything you ever could wish for could come. But the greatest thing that you could really do is open the gates for someone else. Give them brachas, share with them. Like, the flow that we have, we get stuck thinking that we're not going to get what we want. But my father used to always say, we had any idea how much Hashem wants to give us, it would blow our minds every second. So in honor of this great gift of being my father's daughter, and which to me means that every moment I have the opportunity to give. That's what he taught me. He never missed a moment to give. He'd walk down the street searching, who can I hug? Who can I smile at? Who can I give my coat off my back, my kippah off my head? He just so much wanted to bring God into the world, but not because he sat and learned all day, which he did, but because he just saw how much we needed, and he saw how much the world just needed to know how important they are. So in honor of this, I am hoping that we can come together and be shaliachs of light to this boy's brother's wedding, that we can show them that miracles happen every second, and that we could be a part of Tikkun Olam in this way.
That's a crazy story. That's mamish straight out of like any classic Hasidic tale. It's just that you're giving us the opportunity to be part of the story, basically. And that's what's so awesome.
I want you all to be part of the story. We can all join together to be part of the Hasidic story for life.
So they could join through a Facebook page, right?
Yes. It's
I have it written down. 1 second, I wrote it down. 26th Yarzeit Talk project, and we'll send a link to the page in wherever this is posted, where people can find info as to how to contribute and be part of this mitzvah.
I mean,
wow.
And I bless all of us at all moments of our life. We should always have everything we need. We should always be in the right place. We should always feel that Hashem is guiding us at every moment, that we can let go of where we think we're supposed to be, who we think we're supposed to be, and just be on God's time and be part of this beautiful tikkun olam that we have this opportunity to have.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Wow. What an amazing, I'm so thankful, Dari. Thanks so much for sharing this and giving you all the brachas from here, from Efrat to Zichron. I'm sure anyone that's watching this right now, just sending you a big hug today and so much love and gratitude for who you are. And we should be able to really, just like you said, to see each other, to really see each other. Bezrat Hashem. Thank you so much, sister.
Thank you, brother.